Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here in the sports entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, here on PRConnectionRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. On this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub, we are going to explore a very simple question, and that is going to be, who is the most underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights? Now, the reason why I'm saying the most underrated player on the team is because I could talk about the best. Okay, you already know about Jack Eichel. You already know about Mark Stone. You already know about Chase Theodore, Alex Martinez, Alex Petrangelo. Those are not really underrated players on your Vegas Golden Knights because well established, well known, some of the best players in all of hockey. No, what I'm going to ask on tonight's show is, who is a player on your Vegas Golden Knights who most people in hockey do not know? Who is a player on your Vegas Golden Knights who does not get enough recognition, who does not get enough respect by the hockey world for his production, for his performance, for his statistics, and his gameplay for Vegas? So, in the comments section, in the description down below, I have four names that I'm going to go down. Four names that I'm going to make an argument for as being the most underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights. And we are actually going to start out by going with someone who's on Vegas's bottom six. Going to go to a player who really could be a middle six forward for most teams in the NHL, a center who really should be getting more recognition and should be getting more respect from the hockey world. But unfortunately, because he's playing on such a good team like Vegas Golden Knights, he is being stuck in the bottom six. Because he's playing for Vegas, he doesn't get enough ice time to really show what he can do. So the first player that we're going to go over is center Nick Waugh. Now, Nick Waugh is a fascinating story because you have to understand and you have to comprehend, how did Nick Waugh get to Vegas? How did Nick Waugh become a Vegas Golden Knight? Because he was not drafted by Vegas. He was not taken in an NHL entry draft by your Vegas Golden Knights. As a matter of fact, Nicholas Waugh was drafted in 2015 by Carolina. He was drafted 96 overall by Carolina Hurricanes in 2015 NHL entry draft. And when he was getting his career started, when he was not in the majors yet, he spent a few seasons in the AHL. As a matter of fact, he spent not one, not two, not three, but 4 seasons playing in the AHL for the Charlotte Checkers and for the Chicago Wolves. Now, what he did, however, was shine a light on his talent. Not only did he have a 15-goal season in 2018-2019 at the age of 21, not only did he have a positive plus minus and was part of the Charlotte Checkers when they won the Calder Cup, which is the AHL versions of the Stanley Cup. So Nicholas Waugh, early on in his career, showed he could be a valuable asset for an organization. Him winning and him being on a Calder Cup roster in 2019-2020 was a vital part of how he became a Vegas Golden Knight. Because at the age of 21 years old, he and a 5th-round draft pick in 2021 was sent to Vegas for forward Erik Haula. Now, this deal was not popular back in 2019. This trade with Erik Haula was a very unpopular move here in Las Vegas back in 2019. Erik Haula had spent the first 2 seasons playing for Vegas. He was an original misfit. He was a member of the middle six for Vegas. So it was a very unpopular trade at the time. Now, in hindsight, it was a good move for Vegas because they ended up getting the better player out of the deal, and that was Nick Waugh. For context, as I put up right here, Nick Waugh has had 15 goals, 42 points, and a plus 13 in his last 82 games in the NHL. Eric Haula, in his last 82 games, has had around the same points. In fact, he has 18 goals compared to Nick Waugh's 15. So you could say it's a push. You could say it's a win because of how younger Nick Waugh is. In fact, he's a full 8 years younger than what Eric Haula is. But this was a deal that was done correctly. This was a deal where the Vegas Golden Knights sent Eric Haula to Carolina, and they get this young up-and-coming prospect in Nick Waugh. So after spending 1 year in the AHL, not being with Vegas, he ends up having a cup of coffee, having a few games for Vegas in 2019-2020. And in 28 games, he had 5 goals, 10 points, and a +3. So actually, that was not bad. And because it was a 2019-2020 season, he actually got to play in 20 playoff games on the bottom 6 for Vegas and had 8 points and a goal back in that 2020 NHL playoffs. So going into the shortened 2020-2021 season, he plays 50 of the 56 games, has 6 goals, 15 goals, and a +9, which is something I really want to point out. Something that doesn't get a lot of attention is a plus-minus for a forward. Okay? When you are a forward, when you're someone who's supposed to put the puck in the back of the net, if you're a center, they focus on how many faceoffs you've won, how many goals you put in the back of the net. You know, what is your penalty minutes if you're a fighter, if you're an agitator. But one aspect that is defensive is Nick Waugh, and that's his plus-minus. Every single year he has been with Vegas, he has had a plus-minus every single time. He had a +3 in his first season, a +9 in his second season, a +12 in his third season, and so far in year 6, he has a plus-minus above with a +1 as well. So you have a situation where Nick Waugh, as the stats show right there, in his last 82 games, has a +13 for Vegas. And that's very valuable and very important for a bottom 6 forward because Nick Waugh is a valuable asset on defense and has been a valuable asset on offense with his 15 goals and 42 points. So people have wondered, will Nick Waugh eventually get the promotion? Will Nick Waugh eventually get a promotion to the top 6? Could there be a possibility that Nick Waugh could someday be a vital member of Vegas Golden Knights on their top 6 line? And to answer that question, you really have to look at Nick Waugh's contract, and you have to examine how long Nick Waugh is going to be here. Nick Waugh signed a deal in the 2022 NHL offseason that's going to keep him as a Vegas Golden Knight until 2027, until he turns 29 years old. For context, the centers that are above him in the starting lineup, Jack Eichel will be with Vegas until 2026. William Karlsson will be with the team until 2027. And Chandler Stephenson, who we're going to talk about later in the show, he is under contract until 2024. So Vegas has a real interesting situation. Do I believe Nick Waugh could someday become a valuable asset on a top 6 line in Vegas? Yes, I do, and I will explain why. Not only do I believe Jack Eichel will always be a top-line center, but your second line is where I could see Nick Waugh someday becoming your second-line center for Vegas. William Karlsson is under contract until 2027, but he has not been the 43-goal scorer he once was. William Karlsson has had his goals go down every single year since 2017. So if he keeps on going down in terms of goal scoring, and Nicholas Waugh, who once again has put up 15 goals and 42 points in his last 82 games. If he continues progressing at that rate, Nick Waugh will surpass William Karlsson on the depth chart. And Chandler Stephenson, he could potentially be gone from the team after 2024, depending on what the Golden Knights do with his contract. So understanding and comprehending Chandler Stephenson's contract, William Karlsson's regression, it is a very possible scenario. Nick Waugh could be a top 6 forward someday for Vegas. Right now, he is on the 4th line, being on the Vegas Golden Knights roster. I don't think that's going to happen for much longer. I don't see Nick Waugh being a 4th line center in the NHL for much longer. He's too talented. He puts up enough goals. He puts up enough good characteristics on defense to be a 4th line center in the NHL. So that's the first person. First person that you could say is an underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights is Nick Waugh, because like I said, his last 82 games, like you see on the screen, 15 goals, 27 assists, 42 points with a plus 13, and he also puts up 51 penalty minutes because he sticks up for his teammates. So that's the first option on who is the most underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights. The second one is a player that I just mentioned, and his name is Chandler Stephenson. Now, the stats you see right in front of you, Chandler Stephenson, his last 82 games, he has 21 goals, 46 assists, and 67 points. Wow, 67 points with a plus 5 and 26 penalty minutes. Now, one part that you have to attribute to so many points for Chandler Stephenson is that he has been on the middle 6 for Las Vegas. Chandler Stephenson has been on the second line and sometimes has been on the first line for Vegas over the past 2 seasons. So Chandler Stephenson, unlike Nicholas Waugh, he has had more of an opportunity to put pucks in the back of the net. He's had more of an opportunity to score points for Vegas over the long term. But how did Chandler Stephenson get to where he is? Similar to what I did with Nick Waugh when I broke down how he got to Vegas, we're going to do the same for Chandler Stephenson, because not only do I give a lot of credit to Kelly McCrimmon for this, but I also am going to give a lot of credit to the Vegas Golden Knights organization for pulling off this deal. So Chandler Stephenson was drafted by Washington in 2012. The general manager at the time was current Golden Knights president Chandler Stephenson. Chandler Stephenson, the current president for the Vegas Golden Knights, his name is George McPhee. He drafted Chandler Stephenson in the 2012 NHL draft back in 2012. So Chandler Stephenson, he plays a couple of years in Washington. He is on the Stanley Cup team in 2018, and he actually got to raise the Stanley Cup at T-Mobile Arena as a member of the Washington Capitals. But 2 seasons later, he has an opportunity to come to Las Vegas. After only putting up 4 points in 24 games in the beginning of 2019, the Washington Capitals say enough is enough. We are going to trade you to Las Vegas. And indeed, that's what Washington does. On December 2nd, 2019, Washington trades Chandler Stephenson to Vegas for a 5th-round pick in 2021. And Chandler Stephenson finished the rest of that season putting up 22 points, 8 of them goals, in 41 games for Las Vegas. The next season, he actually puts up 14 goals in 35 games for Vegas Golden Knights. He played 51 of the 56 games in that shortened 2020-2021 season. And last season, he had his breakout campaign, having 79 games, 21 of them being goals, 64 points, like I said, and he has had a plus-minus of 5. So what I want to point out with Chandler Stephenson is Washington gave up on Chandler Stephenson. After drafting him in 2012, After having him be on their Stanley Cup team, Washington moved on from Chandler Stephenson, pushed him to the side, and Vegas picked up Chandler Stephenson. Similar to Nicholas Waugh, who I mentioned earlier, he was tossed to the side by Carolina because they wanted to bring in Eric Haula. People have talked about the misfits. People have discussed how the misfits are no longer in Las Vegas. And I always say that's not correct if you understand how the misfits were created. If you understand how Vegas Golden Knights, how year one, how misfits were created, it was a mentality. It was a mentality that your team abandoned me, your team let me go. Now I'm going to come to Vegas and I'm going to prove you wrong. Nick Waugh has done that since leaving Carolina. Chandler Stephenson, look at his stats right down there. He has proven to Washington, your mistake was trading me to Vegas in 2019. So the misfit mentality is still alive and well here in Las Vegas. The misfit mentality still fits the Vegas Golden Knights to 2022, 2023. As a matter of fact, there was an interview done by Vegas Golden Knights owner Bill Foley. And Bill Foley, if you read between the lines, he pointed out in that interview, the Vegas Golden Knights, they don't give up. Vegas Golden Knights do not give up. They love being called an underdog. Vegas Golden Knights love being classified as a team that you can write off. Bill Foley said in that interview, essentially, we are not rebuilding. Rebuilding is not in the vocabulary for your Vegas Golden Knights. As a matter of fact, the Vegas Golden Knights are not going to rebuild. We are going to reload with talent, and we're going to keep getting better and better and better. So Chandler Stephenson is the second player that I wanted to spotlight as a potential underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights. I mentioned Nicholas Waugh. I've mentioned Chandler Stephenson. Now we got two more left because there's one person that I want to talk about real quick. And he is someone that I truly believe is underrated. A player who most people in Vegas don't even pay attention to. And I want to put a spotlight on him right now as we are talking about who is the most underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights. We are going to transition over to Brett Howden. Now, Brett Howden is an interesting case because not only was he traded once, but he was traded twice before the age of 24. Brett Howden is a player that not only did Tampa Bay draft, recruit, and scout, but Tampa Bay traded to New York, and then New York put him to the side and traded him away to Las Vegas. Now, Brett Howden, in his last 82 games, he has had 11 goals, 17 assists, 28 points. His plus minus, by the way, very underrated. I want to point that out. A plus 8. A plus 8, by the way, for Brett Howden. And he doesn't have that many penalty minutes with only 25. What Brett Howden has done since coming to Vegas is something I want to spotlight. Now, Brett Howden last season, he was on the bottom 6 for Las Vegas. Brett Howden last season, season 5, he was on the bottom 6 playing alongside Chandler Stephenson, playing alongside William Carrier, Nick Waugh, Keegan Kolazar, Michael Amadio. Brett Howden had an incredible season in Las Vegas. In only 47 games that season, he had 9 goals, 20 points, a plus 9, and he also had only 12 penalty minutes in his first full season playing for Las Vegas. But what he spotlighted and what I want to spotlight is that Brett Howden had a type of energy that electrified the bottom 6. Brett Howden had that certain type of speed, his skill set. Brett Howden brought a certain type of skills to the bottom 6, where you have Keegan Kolazar, who is a guy who can toss his weight around. William Carrier, he has those stone hands. He can put people in the boards. Nick Waugh, he is more of a definitive goal scorer. He is someone who could pass the puck around. Brett Howden had one characteristic that hockey fans need to acknowledge. One attribute Brett Howden has is that he can pass the puck, and he can pass the puck very fluently. Very efficiently, Brett Howden can pass the puck in Las Vegas. And when you acknowledge and you analyze NHL hockey, passing the puck and doing it very well is what gets you into the NHL a lot of times. If you're someone who doesn't make a lot of turnovers, if you're someone who doesn't do a lot of takeaways and giveaways, if you are a player who can get to the NHL and you do not cause much mistakes by passing from blue line to blue line, you become a valuable asset to an NHL organization. If you are someone who can limit his mistakes and generate opportunities for your teammates, you become a very valuable asset to your organization. And Vegas paid very attention and actually paid Brett Howden very handsomely because of his skill set. Brett Howden got a contract extension, got a $1.5 million deal to be on the bottom 6 for Las Vegas. He went from making $800,000 to now making $1.5 million for Las Vegas. They respect his skill set. They analyze and they also understand his skill set is a valuable part to Las Vegas. And then one last player that I have to point out. One player who I've been saying a lot on this show, Vegas Hockey Hub, who is a very underrated player for your Vegas Golden Knights, is goaltender Logan Thompson. Logan Thompson has been a player I have been spotlighting for weeks because I believe in Logan Thompson's skill set. Ever since he was playing Canadian hockey for Brock University, to playing for the ECHL for Washington Capitals, playing for the South Carolina Stingrays, to now playing for the Vegas Golden Knights as a rookie goaltender, I believe in Logan Thompson. I like Logan Thompson's skill set. And I also will point out, Logan Thompson feels like a veteran. He does not play like a rookie. He does not play like a 25-year-old who has less than 25 starts in the NHL. For anyone who's wondering why I didn't put up statistics for Logan Thompson, it's because he does not have enough games for me to really use a sample size for Logan Thompson. Nicholas Waugh, Chandler Stephenson, Brett Howden, I have enough of a sample size to put up on the screen. Logan Thompson is a rookie goaltender. I do not have a big enough sample size yet. But so far in his young career, in 22 games playing for the Vegas Golden Knights, he has a goals against average at 2.3 and a save percentage at 92%, who, for a young goaltender, is exceptional. All right, it is a bright spotlight for Vegas to have a young goaltender whose goals against average is 2.3. So, Vegas has a young goaltender in Logan Thompson, a reliable young player in Brett Howden. You have a skillful player in Chandler Stephenson. And you have this guy in Nick Waugh, who's a fourth-line center who could be a middle six forward on most teams in the NHL. So I'm going to pass this on to all of you. Who is the most underrated player on your Vegas Golden Knights? Who is a player you believe is underrated, doesn't get enough attention, doesn't get enough respect, but plays for your Vegas Golden Knights? I'm going to pass it on to everyone watching around the world. I want your opinion on it because I'm going to say it could be Nick Waugh, could be Chandler Stephenson, could be Brett Howden, or it could very well be your goaltender of the future in Logan Thompson. Whoever you pick, no really wrong answer. I just want to know from everyone watching around the world, who is the most underrated player on the Vegas Golden Knights as we're talking about it here on Vegas Hockey Hub. Now, I want to do a little preview for an upcoming show we're going to do here on Vegas Hockey Hub. I want to do a preview of some content we are going to be bringing to Vegas Hockey Hub in the future. A episode that we're going to be uploading to this show is I'm going to be spotlighting the Boston Bruins and how firing Bruce Cassidy was the best move the Boston Bruins could have made for Vegas. That Boston Bruins firing Bruce Cassidy was the best move for Las Vegas. That getting a good coach, getting a top 5 coach in Bruce Cassidy, signing him to a 5-year deal to coach Vegas was a fantastic deal. I actually said that Bruce Cassidy was one of the best deals Vegas made all off season. Yes, they brought back Nick Waugh, brought back Riley Smith, brought back Brett Howden, but it wasn't any of the player moves that impressed me. What impressed me in the 2022 NHL offseason was going out and getting a top 5 head coach in Bruce Cassidy. So in an upcoming episode here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I will actually be breaking down and analyzing how the Boston Bruins made the best move for Vegas by firing Bruce Cassidy. That Boston firing Bruce Cassidy helped Vegas for the long-term future. So go stay tuned for that video. We'll be actually doing that later on here on Vegas Hockey Hub. Just wanted to give a quick preview for all the people watching around the world. And someone did say that Logan Thompson is the most underrated player on the Vegas Golden Knights. Someone on Twitter said that Nick Waugh is the most underrated player on the Vegas Golden Knights. And I want to clarify one part real quick. I, once again, am not bringing up Shea Theodore. I'm not bringing up Jonathan Marchessault. I am not bringing up Alec Martinez because those players are well established. Those players for Vegas are already all-stars, are already established in the NHL. 4 players I mentioned on tonight's show are players who do not get enough respect around the NHL. 4 players who most people in Vegas do not even acknowledge how good they are in Las Vegas. So yes, I did not mention Shea Theodore. I did not mention Jonathan Marchessault for a reason. It's because Vegas already knows who Jonathan Marchessault is. Vegas is well aware of who Alex Pietrangelo is. The NHL made them all-stars last year, so they're not underrated. And as we have about 2 minutes left here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I want to quickly give a shout-out to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Follow all their content on PR Connections Radio. Want to give a shout-out to Cozy Stone. She put out a fantastic show recently. She brought on an excellent guest, had a fantastic content. You also had The Love of Business, where you had 2 hosts come on for The Love of Business. They have a lot of fantastic content in the works for Love of Business. You also have We Got the Power with Brian Gardner. That is a great show if you can go out and watch it. You also have Voices of Humanity by Sandra. I do respect what she does. I think that she is incredible. And Aunt Shirley, I know she makes content here on PR Connections Radio. I know she's also a fan of PR Connections Radio, so got to give a shout out to Aunt Shirley. And going to give a quick mention to Guy Dawson, because if it wasn't for Guy Dawson creating PR Connections Radio, Vegas Hockey Hub would not exist. So I wanted to give a shout out to you. And follow us on all social media at Vegas Hockey Hub. Go on to our website, vegashockeyhub.com, and also go to prconnectionsradio.com to watch all of their content. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. Follow me on social media at IanRachiele18. And until next time, go support hockey, watch hockey all season long. Go Knights, go, and have a good one.